Deputy Peadar Tóibín, I think you want to move this particular amendment.
Can I move it? I can't call you. I can't call it. There's a little bit of confusion at committee stage with regards to this particular amendment, and we spent a long time debating the pros and cons with regards parental notification. And obviously, people from my side of the debate were of the feeling that for a girl under the age of 16 who was facing a crisis pregnancy, and a pregnancy at that age would be a crisis pregnancy, that any parent in the country would like to obviously know about the potential decision that girl was going to make, to be able to offer her support, love, care and advice if possible, and that anybody here would, I suppose, be shocked and horrified and hurt if they felt that their child had gone through and had an abortion under the age of 16 without their knowledge that this was going to happen. Now, we had the debate, I think, for about an hour, and most people on the pro-choice side argued that we shouldn't have parental notification at all. But then it later found out that, I think a question was asked by Deputy Donnelly of the Minister, well, was there not just parental notification anyways within the law when it came to health and medical procedures? And I think at that stage the Minister, and maybe you'll help me out here, Minister, later on, you had said that actually there was parental notification necessary, which kind of made the first half of the debate defunct to a certain extent. But again, I think it's important that we nail it down a little bit, because if there is confusion at ministerial level, maybe and an opposition level with regards to an issue like this, well then maybe there's a need to put parental notification within the legislation itself. And this particular amendment simply requires parental notification in relation to an abortion performed on a minor in non-emergency cases, and makes an exception where it is in the minor's best interest to dispense with such notification, because there was obviously a fear that in some occasions maybe that parental notification would actually make situations worse for the child, especially obviously if there was abuse within the family. And obviously the age of consent for surgical, medical and dental treatment in this state is generally 16. However, sometimes procedures can be performed below that age without parental consent, and I think this is where the confusion lies here. So consequently, it's important to include specific provisions for notification, as this amendment does. And as well, it's important to separate that this is not consent. We're not actually looking to build consent in this. We're actually just, again, these amendments are so mild in reality. They're just looking to build in notification in the actual bill itself. And again, we discussed at that stage, and I know a lot of people in the chamber don't want comparative analysis with other European countries, because obviously other European countries seem to have racist tendencies when it comes to these types of things. But there is a comparative analysis with other countries. They do require actually consent in many of the European countries, and the age of consent for this parental consent is actually 18. So it just shows you how far our country has gone, that simply the request for parental notification at the age of under 16 is a challenge for some within the debate here. So it recognises that parents should be involved in matters which potentially have far-reaching consequences for their children. There's obviously the medical, emotional, psychological consequences of abortions can be very serious and can be lasting, particularly when the patient is at such a young age. So again, I think this is a reasonable effort to codify in primary legislation to ensure that the confusion that arose at committee doesn't happen anywhere else within society in future. And I would ask the Minister, to consider actually accepting one of these amendments. Gurmila Magat.